Big screen this week in Rising Sun, an expensive, glossy thriller adapted from Michael Crichton's best-selling novel of the same name. Crichton, of course, was responsible for Jurassic Park, so it's been quite a year for him, even if both the book and film of Rising Sun ran into a storm of controversy over the supposedly racist content. To answer the novel's politically correct critics, director Philip Kaufman has toned down some of the more aggressive anti-Japanese sentiments and made alterations via the casting. A white character in the book, black actor Wesley Snipes now plays the role of Webb Smith, a detective who teams up with Eastern expert John Connor, played by Connery, to investigate the murder of a prostitute in the offices of a Japanese conglomerate. Of course, some people now feel that Crichton's story has been watered down, which just goes to prove that you can't please everybody. We spoke to Wesley Snipes, Hollywood's newest action hero, to find out his feelings on the subject.
It's unfortunate because everybody, people feel disenfranchised, you know, the first opportunity they get to, you know, yell and scream and say, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, they do it, even regardless of how ridiculous it is, you know, regardless of how irrelevant it is to the story, the book, or the movie, or whatever. At least, you know, a lot of people want to be heard now.
We're still the police in our own country. Built this building in 6 months. Put in prefab units from Japan and slapped them together here. Not one American worker will give this country away.
Nobody forced us to do it.
I think Phil Kaufman was rather conscious of the concerns, the racial concerns about the book, you know. And you know, you can't go wrong when you have Sean Connery in any role in your movie, you know.
When we arrive, you take charge of the negotiations. Don't bother to introduce me, don't refer to me at all, don't even look in my direction. Keep your jacket buttoned at all times. If they bow, you bow back, same depth, same duration.
Believe it or not, I have done this before. You know, I do know these things.
And do keep your hands at your sides. The Japanese find big arm movements threatening.
I went in there, you know, with hopes of gleaning as much as I could from Sean Connery. You know, I know he's highly respected. I've been watching his films since I was a boy. And, you know, you don't get a chance. It's like a great craftsman. You know, you get a chance to work with a great sculptor or something like that. You know.
Richie! Mugshots! All of it! Oh, you cannot do this! No! You're to blame here. And you will give my detectives any assistance that they need. And I want the name of the person who discovered the body. Imaya!
Of course, Captain.
Maybe here, it's not as, you know, unique of a, you know, everybody seems kind of polite and dignified and, you know, you have this great accent and the whole kit and caboodle, but in the States, you know, we don't have a whole lot of cats who come across so cool, you know what I'm saying? You know, so refined, you know, and I think that's a lot of his appeal as well as being a consummate artist.
For Snipes, the trail of clues to the murderer is obscured by foreign traditions and technological trickery. While Connery sorts out the cultural confusion, Tia Carrere helps our boys crack the computerized cover-up.
What they probably did here was rock and roll. Print the same scene over and over to keep the pixels, the grain, alive. In other words, they removed whatever followed this guy's exit, and that made the discs the standard length.
So no one would suspect that anything was missing after that. But obviously...
Something happened after that that's been hidden from us.
We only had the original disc. We could see what really happened after that time.
Exactly. Catch on fast, Lieutenant Smith.
Webb. Yeah, I do.
Well, actually, I talked to Phil Kaufman and said, hey, man, you know, come on, let's get a guy a little bit more something to do. I personally, as the actor, feeling like bored coming to work, you know. So he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, maybe, you know, we have a fight scene in here, you know. And they worked with the characters because the senpai, who's Connery, he thinks he has the kohai pegged. I think he knows exactly where the guy is coming from. And then I pull out a, you know, rabbit out of the hat.
Keep eye contact at all times. And at all costs, don't lose your temper.
I don't lose my temper. Just step aside and have no trouble. This is police business. Well, seems like nobody's listening. Come on, come on.
I think think sometimes people forget that I've done films like White Men Can't Jump and, you know, Jungle Fever and Streets of Gold very, very early on, you know. Films where the guys were, you know, a lot nicer and, you know, very, very, very friendly. So I personally prefer doing the more complex characters.
It's safe around here.
You call this safe?
Senpai, rough neighborhoods may be America's last advantage. Now, if you hear me say, can I be of any assistance? It's too late.
Rising Sun is currently playing nationwide.
Listen, you lot, have a very nice day.
Thank you very much indeed. Nice, friendly face there. Now, despite recent health scares, you can see from the front of the Daily Express this morning, he's made it again. Connery in cancer mystery, that says there. But at the age of 62, Sean Connery, well, he just seems to get better and better, doesn't he? In part one of our exclusive interview, our entertainment correspondent Fiona Phillips asks him about his health and also about his latest film, Rising Sun, written by the author of Jurassic Park.
Hi, good morning. Well, we would have travelled to the ends of the earth to meet the man who's joining us this morning, but we only had to come to London to meet Sean Connery. Good morning, Sean. You can uncover your eyes now.
Oh, good morning. I didn't want to put you off.
No, you haven't put me off so far. Good morning. Now, we're here to talk about Rising Sun. What attracted you to the film to start off with?
Well, I was told about it by the office. No knowledge, any information, just sent the galley proofs. All I knew was that Michael Crichton had written it. It's coincidental that he's a good friend of mine, and I'd known him for 20 years, and I was absolutely amazed at the very beginning when I first came across the character Connor, John Connor, and then realized, of course, that it was written for me. He never mentioned it. And by the time I completed it, I read it in one go. I thought it was an absolute knockout. And couldn't wait to get started to make a movie.
I'm sorry. The names of those gentlemen.
May I ask why?
Karuna, Sokadoke, Tete Wakaranoka.
There's been a lot of press lately as well about your throat problems. Have you got?
No, it's okay. I took at Royal Marsden 6 weeks of radiation up till August 25th. It's the first time, I mean, I never contemplated doing it before because I'd done this laser thing in and out, and then realized that I take an alternative treatment which is more definitive, and that'll be it. And so I finished 25th, what are we now, 25th September, it's a month, it's about 6 weeks now since I finished now, and everything's fine.
Has it pulled you up at all? Have you re-evaluated anything because of that?
No, during the time of when one was having treatment, was anticipating all sorts of things that were supposed to happen to you which didn't, so that was refreshing. So maybe if I'd had some of the side effects that they normally say you should get, then I would have been a bit more contemplative, or reflective, or whatever. But I was very fortunate in that I didn't get any of the sort of nauseas and sleeplessness, depressions and things. It was really, for anybody that's going to have it done, I say, it's really a walk in the park.
Well, Sean, we wish you all the very best indeed, and don't miss part 2 of our exclusive interview the same time tomorrow. Right, coming up, a big cash prize in our very, very, very...
Listen, but you could have given me my life back years ago. Why should I trust you now?
You've got my word.
Will you shake on it?
Well, we're going to leave that now, leave the movie guide and return to it later because we've got an important...
Take a look at The Rock, which stars Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris. The Rock in question is Alcatraz, the notorious island prison near San Francisco, from which, legend has it, only one inmate has ever escaped. Well, that man is played by Connery, who else? Who's hired to break back into the jail and foil the baddies who are holed up there. Let's take a look.
So what do you have in store for me, Womack, when this is over?
You'll get your life back, Mason.
But you could have given me my life back years ago. Why should I trust you now?
You've got my word.
What do you shake on it?
Freeze, mister!
Oh, man! Help! Drop the gun, or I drop your boss.
You will not.
It's getting very heavy.
You pull him up. Please don't.
Help! Well, judging just by that short clip, John, it looks like it's action-packed and full of terrific actors.
Oh, it's big, splashy effects, relentless action. And, you know, the audience is driven, if you like, as is the film, by the sheer weight of incident, which they pile on with abandon. But despite all the cliches, there's a lot of clever spins on this. The baddie, for example, played by Ed Harris, who we don't see there, is not basically a bad man, just a bit, his plan's a bit misconceived. Everyone in this situation, in fact, we sympathise with for some reason or other. And that makes it a bit more grey, less black and white than the usual kind of gung-ho action thriller. But I must say, Connery and Cage on screen really do play off each other very well, as if they've been acting together for years, which of course they haven't been. And I think it's often very interesting once a director takes hold of a set of cliches and says, right, what am I going to do? I'm boxed in, there are those cliches, the audience expects them, but how can I spin events slightly to create some surprise? And you do get that.
Who is the director? Did I miss that?
It's a young chap called Michael Bay, who's in his 30s. Now, he did a picture called Bad Boys last year, about two black cops. He's only done directed one film before. This is the second one. And he knows how to make an action film.
But it was produced by the late Don Simpson, wasn't it?
Yes, and Jerry Bruckheimer, that's right, who shot to fame with Top Gun in the 80s and did a lot of so-called high-concept, big, splashy films. This is them back on form, really. But, and in fact, the film is a tribute to Don Simpson. At the end it says, this film is dedicated to Don Simpson. So you can overlook the odd flaw, the odd implausibility, and enjoy.
Right, OK. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, to tell us